Singapore time.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we've done this for about almost 3 weeks now. Yes,
That's
and
good.
we've been enjoying ourselves. I think we've met so many new people and some photographers that are strong supporters of ours. That comes in. So that's great.
Yeah,
It's
that's
always
good.
nice.
All right. So still waiting at the.
Who else is here? Let's see. Eric Donati, how are you? Zain, are you still in the army?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Yes, I'm still in.
You're free or you're still in the army?
Yeah, still in 3 more months.
3 more months.
Yeah.
You are.
So does this circuit breaker count towards the 2 years that you're there?
What do you say again? Sorry.
Does this circuit breaker count towards your service time as well?
Yeah, it counts. Basically, we do shift work 2 weeks stay in camp, then 2 weeks come up.
Wow, what a life, fuckers.
Yeah. Still getting paid.
Yeah.
Provided with food and a place to stay. Yeah.
Oh, I rather not.
My last month in army, I went to Brunei with my unit.
Yeah, but Brunei was fun. I enjoyed Brunei so much.
Wow.
Especially sitting the UH-1H with your legs dangling on a helicopter, feeling like you're in a war movie, landing on a small little patch.
Yeah.
Infantry, man.
Yeah.
Bus 11 all the way.
Mount Biang. Yeah, there we go.
Mount Biang. Yeah.
Why does Eric Dinadi calls me Uncle Jeff? you're not that old yourself, Eric. Or you're not that young yourself. But thank you. I take that as a compliment. Hi, Grace. You're starting to become a permanent fixture in our sessions. Thank you so very much. Lovely. We need more women in our community. Yeah, we need more female photographers.
Wow, Zin, I like your likes.
I bought it recently. Quite nice.
So hipster.
Yeah, like so handsome.
Focus.
Where? What are we talking
about? We're at nightclub.
No, the one is you bring the girlfriend home and ask her to focus.
What, Zain?
Is it off the shelf or customized one?
Sorry?
Off the shelf or customized?
Sorry, my sister shouting.
It's okay.
You know you're very young when your sister is so young.
People would have thought that was so cute. People would have thought that was cute.
Because if any other of us like, hey, your sister making noise, I was like, hey, what?
Our age gap like 20 years old.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right. I remember you telling me that. So for those of you who are not switching on video, would be lovely to have a face, so that we can talk to somebody. In that sense, we can see you. It's kind of nice. If not, it's also fine. But it's really nice to see a face. Yeah, really nice to see a face. We encourage you. Okay. While people are streaming in, give us another few more minutes. In the meantime, for those of you here, just wondering if any of you have completed the cleanup challenge that I gave last week. I've got quite a few entries. Just wondering if anybody is still working at it, doing at it. Yeah, so Harold just typed in his website. Check it out, 2hphoto.com.
Yeah, that's our website.
Wow.
Yeah. And also I share my IG, so I can follow you guys.
Awesome.
I will follow back.
Awesome.
So how long you been shooting? Ever since you turned into a photographer after assisting? How many years has that been, Harriet?
Now it's already 20 years.
There you go.
I think you more than that, right?
I have 30 years, brother.
All right. Sifu.
No, just started young. That's all. Just started young. That's all.
Oh, Harriet, you do cinemagraphs also.
Sorry.
You do cinemagraphs also.
I have a production house, so
Nice.
I will actually when I'm do production, I be a producer, like executive producer for TVC and for digital. That's my producer Adi. Adi is already here. Adi, say hi, Adi.
Hi,
Hi,
Adi.
Adi.
Show your face.
Where are you? I don't see you.
Maybe he doing makeup first lah.
Pak Warren, hello. Another permanent fixture at every single one of our talks. Thank you so much for supporting and spending time with us. Always lovely to have you. So has everybody had dinner? What did you have for dinner?
Chili crab.
Oh wow, fancy.
Wow. My mom's birthday also.
Oh, awesome.
Huh.
So it's one of those one shot, one kill Mother's
Yeah.
birthday.
Not McDonald's though.
McDonald's would be harder to get, right?
So apparently McDonald's is opening their drive-in, huh?
There was a very long queue, like there's traffic jam everywhere because of the drive-through.
Has it?
Yeah, at the
Fuck
Jurong
me.
area. Stupid.
Ridiculous. What's wrong with these people?
People that never
Wow.
had McDonald's before.
Yeah. Serbi, another one of our consistent participants. Lovely. Isabel. John Francisco as well. I've been seeing you a few times. Awesome. Say hello in the chat, okay? So everybody knows who you are, what you are, where you're from, websites, etc. IG handles.
That's Adi. Adi, say hi to everybody.
Adi, di mana?
Adi di mana?
Di mana?
Masih mute di mute.
Adi.
Ah.
Hi Jeff, hi everyone.
How are you? Very good.
We met a long time ago, Jeff, when you were shooting in
Yes.
Jakarta for Marlboro.
That's
Remember
right.
me? No.
Yeah, I think so. I got to take a closer look at you.
Getting old here, bro.
We all are. I think the last time I shot with you, I still had hair, I believe.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'm helping. I'm with Harriet here
Awesome.
in
Good
2H
stuff.
photography. So I'm also a producer.
Nice. Well, looking forward to working with you guys. Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Hopefully.
Super. Okay, I guess we can start. Let the rest of the stragglers, come in. All right, guys. Thank you for a lovely evening and joining us tonight. I think it's nice and cool today, so it's nice to stay indoors, I think, as opposed to running around or cycling in the parks, right? Okay, tonight's a rather interesting one. We have three lovely upcoming photographers. I think the journey of any photographer always, starts from obviously that pivotal moment where one decides I am going to be a professional photographer, right? I think that has always been a $1 million question in terms of how you talk to yourself and what goes into the mind of you being a avid hobbyist or somebody who is having a day job, and making that jump into wanting to be a professional photographer, what it takes, in those early steps, right? Obviously everybody's walking before we run. Brian and I have been running this marathon for a while. We are almost breathless in some ways, so
Need
we
to
are very
overhaul and
yeah, we are very excited to introduce three young lovely photographers that we both have the honor to have mentored and met, just over the last 3 years. So I think I will let Brian introduce Cepheus, because Brian has mentored Cepheus, in a way, in the wedding industry. So, Brian.
Yeah, so Cepheus has started out as friends, and then he was working for another company that I know of, and then he and another friend also wanted to learn. So I've been sharing very openly with him since I think the very first time since I met him at another wedding where he came along to shoot like cinematograph for one of my clients. Yeah, so that's how we got to know each other. I think it was at this restaurant in Buona Vista. I can't remember the name actually.
Yeah, Rex and Picky.
Yeah. So after that, I mean, after a few years, he grew to like my work also. So I became his photographer for his wedding. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, seeing him succeed and doing well, I'm very happy as well. So I hope that uh, more of this kind of success story can happen in our community. And yeah, I hope to see more new photographers daringly take this leap of faith and at the same time learn the right way of doing business in our industry and make it work. Yeah, right.
Lovely.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay. I would like to introduce to you Matthew Ng. I met Matthew at one of our many raw sessions that we used to have in person at our facility, at our studio rather, in Niven Road. He came for one of those few sessions, and he started to become uh, a constant participant in a lot of our sessions, and then he signed up with me, as one of my mentees in my mentorship program 2.0. When I met Matthew, I think I saw a lot of potential in him. In a sense, he was trying to come up with a certain narrative in his style, and I think ever since Matthew and I interacted, which has been, Matthew, how long ago? 2 years?
About 2 years, yeah, two and a
About
half.
2 years, about 2.5. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can see his work in evolving tremendously, right? He's starting to find his voice. He's starting to find his approach, in terms of the way he crafts his business. I think that's something that's very exciting for us today to listen to, in terms of his personal journey coming forward, over the last 2.5 years, ever since he turned pro. And we have Vance Boo, another really young, amazing, upstart photographer. Also, one of those that comes to our raw events in our community. I first got to know him when he showed me his still life images. That he shoots with his speed lights at home, in his corridor, in his room, whatever he can get his hands on. and I was, pretty thoroughly impressed because he shot, pretty interesting images like this ones, with little to no equipment. I think that's what young photographers should be daring enough to do is to just do it with whatever you have, and with that, he started to evolve as well over the I've known you for how long? 2 years as well, Vance?
About
1 year?
there, late
About that?
late 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you can see him evolving into shooting people as well. So I think, each of them have their very, very unique journeys in terms of how they see themselves, how they curate themselves, how they present themselves as a professional business, as a professional photographer. So I think tonight we will talk, in depth about all these individual journeys, right? Okay, so Brian, you have any questions to start to kick off tonight's session with our three young guns?
Yeah. So let's start with something very interesting. Okay. Okay. I want to throw this question to the three of you. Okay. What makes you guys want to even do photography? Because in your era when this started, photography has become something so easy to get into, and there are other businesses that potentially can make you more money. So why photography? Yeah.
Okay, one by one. Come on, answer.
Matthew want to start first?
Yeah, Matthew, go. Go, Matthew.
Can. Yeah. Well, honestly, for me, I started photography seriously after college, immediately after college. And honestly, back then I was just looking for a job because I studied advertising in school, and then I did like a very long internship, about 6 months, and I realized that I don't really feel the flow when I'm in there. Whereas like I've been photographing since I was 14, first big camera then. And then I was like looking for another thing that I could do that I thought I was good at. So yeah, then I chose photography, and I went into it. Yeah. That's a long story short lah. Yeah.
Okay. What about Vance?
For me, actually, I like photography since a very young age. It's back in secondary school when I first got my hands on DSLRs, like back in those AV clubs, don't know what clubs, that kind of thing lah. So I got my taste of it, but I never got to pursue it seriously until about 2015, 2016, where I bought a camera and for Christmas lah, for myself, and then I because it's like a gearhead thing lah. Once you buy one thing, then you want to evolve more, you want to buy more, dive deeper and deeper into it. And the more I dive into it, the more interesting I found it to be. Like it's more than just taking photos, it's making images. How different components of an image consists of, and all these things draws me in and deeper, and then I think that leads me to my path today lah.
Okay, cool. And what about you, Cepheus?
I think for me, I actually impulse purchased a DSLR right after army. Yeah, that was like in Hong Kong. So it's like I found this DSLR for less than 1,000. And then since then, I just keep on shooting and shooting through my uni years. So for all 4 years of uni, I've been shooting photos and videos for them. I think for me, what I find important is I just want to record down such moments, and then I just want to keep them for memory's sake. But along the way, I got myself an opportunity to work for a wedding media company, and that's where I stepped into the wedding industry lah. I'm gonna look away from time to time because I'm managing a live stream also.
Yes, and we also like to mention very quickly that Cepheus is running Cactus Singapore, that's helping us live stream this all our events onto Facebook, and that's also a part of his business model in terms of the various services that he offers in his company.
Yeah.
Yep. So on my side is I'm not purely a photographer. I also does videos as well. So I actually learn videography first back in secondary school. But just to focus on the photography side, once I was in the wedding industry, I sort of found a lot of joy, and I really like start to explore photography more as a form of art instead of like just snapshots of things. Yeah. So since then, after I graduated, I went into it full time. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you actually started this when you were already in school. That means that when you were in uni, the 4 years you were shooting, and I believe that knowing you, I never really asked this question. Like in the 4 years of university, when you're shooting for your school's event and things like that, was it all purely out of passion, and then you were doing it for free, or was there some kind of remuneration that the school paid you, or things like that? Yeah, how do you fund your expensive hobby then?
uh, the school never pay me. I actually like film for free, shoot for free, most of my hall stuff, such that my hall actually recommend me to stay back year after year. I actually stay in hall throughout all 4 years because of that. Yeah. So along the way, I actually met a lot of like-minded people, and I just keep on shooting. It's really like the school at most they pay for school events is like $10 per hour. Yeah. So I actually did side gigs with like the wedding company that I was at, and initially I was also in a sports media company called Vox Sports. They've since I don't know when poof already. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Okay, what's the pivotal point, that one pivotal moment, where you had an epiphany that said, okay, you know what, I shall start a company, I shall do this and make it my profession and make a living of it? Was there that one moment that
Yes, actually, it has always been on my mind during my uni years, and then there was a semester where I had to take on a industrial attachment that's related to my degree as a programmer in one of the local companies. Then it was through this industry attachment that I realized I cannot tahan an office environment. I cannot tahan a fixed work schedule, and I cannot tahan extremely long-term projects. Yeah. So after that, I sort of like gave this a really serious thought. I'm like, okay, I think photography is what I like to do. Is project based. I have flexibility in my time, and let's just go into it. Yeah.
Okay, how about Vance?
For me, actually, there's this phrase that always, it keep echoing in my mind. There's this phrase about, if you are doing what you love, then you're not working or something like that. Amongst that line. So it's like this sentence keep ringing in my ears. And I was formerly in the army as a regular, and I like Cepheus. I can't stand extremely long projects. I cannot stand the office environment. It sounds ironic, I know, because like army, right, you're supposed to be active and everything, but most of the time 95% of that I would say is in office bound, desk bound. So I couldn't stand it any longer, and I was like, if I could do what I love for a living, why not? I should give it a shot. So I gave it a serious thought, and yeah, I just explore options, and that's when I met Jeff, and then he gave me a lot of insights, and then it just inspired me to do this as a profession.
Okay.
Matthew,
Awesome.
what about you?
For me, the reason why I went pro is because it was a very lame reason, which was I needed a job, and then I ran to it. But then 2 years down the road, throughout the journey, I slowly realized that I actually love it, and I began to see it more as an art form rather than just a profession or a way to make money out of it. Yeah, so that was also the same time whereby I started reading up, more photo books, look at really good photographers out there, not just like you scroll through social media and then you look at any photographers about really like the legends and stuff, and then I really saw it as an art form, and I felt that if there is, I think at that point in time I said one thing to myself, which was that if I wanted to be a master at something in life, then that would be photography. So that was when I realized that actually I really love it enough to want to become a very skilled craftsman in this area. And so I kind of gave myself like 2 years make the same amount of salary as my peers, because I think if you want to make it a profession, then the money is also an aspect of it, right? You cannot just make art and then you are not you don't have any money to survive. I think that's not sustainable. So I said, I will give out 2 years. And then I think I was kind of lucky enough, like maybe within 1 year, I hit that target already. So I was really motivated, and I was like, yes, I can do this, and it can be an actual career for me. Yeah. And then I think around the 2 to 3 year mark, that was when I realized that income is quite consistent and all, and there was a certain type of work that I could do consistently and sell consistently, that became like my bread and butter. So I think around the 3 year mark safely was when I felt that, this is really, a career path for me, and right now I'm into my 4th year, so just going to the 4th year. And then this is a time where I feel like I'm transitioning into that phase whereby I don't want to just do bread and butter. I want to explore the craft even further, and then find my own voice, and just generally be better at what I do.
Okay.
Definitely. I think what's really amazing about Matthew's approach is that there is a very nice pace to the way you came up. It wasn't something that you're just diving into it head first. You were very calculated, quite pretty strategic from what I'm hearing. I think these are very important things young photographers need to figure out. You need to figure out a certain strategy in a sense. Obviously there are, I've always been telling this story, right? That a lot of young photographers are doing this as a hobby, and just because family and friends and are telling them how good they are, they so decided to come into it, sometimes blind, into this pretty amazing profession, and they are not strategic. They don't plan their route. They don't plan their journey. Coming up, rising up the ranks. So much so that they would give up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road and go back to their day job, go back to their degree, or whatever it might be, where they came from. You know what I mean? So I think that pivotal moment, how one young photographer decides in coming into this is a very important thing. You have to really consider all your options. Obviously now more than ever we are in a world where there are just way too many photographers. So coming in, thinking it's all glamorous and everything, reality will hit you in the face very, very fast. And I think these 3 young photographers have managed to in the face of that adversity, in the face of having so many photographers as competition, are starting to carve their future in front of them. I think that's what's very exciting. For me personally, what I can see out of these 3 photographers is the fact that Vance is starting to be a very well-rounded photographer that can do both still life and people, beauty, studio kind of stuff. He's starting to be a little bit more of a lighting, technical kind of photographer, right? And that would lead him towards a route that will allow him to flourish in a commercial environment and an advertising environment, right? Whereas what I see out of Matthew, I see somebody with a very keen eye in telling stories. He crafts narratives. He has a way of shooting portraits, for example. So I think with not too much fanfare, his approach seems to be almost very minimalist, very real, but yet there's moments of technical flair in it, which is starting to come out as a style to me as well, right? With Cepheus, I will leave that to Brian to comment. Brian?
Right, because you never go and see his work, right?
I'm not someone to comment on the wedding. I'm no pro at wedding, so it's all you, bro.
Okay, so actually I've looked through the 3 photographers, especially like Vance. I've been looking at because he's working very closely in our studio as well. Some of my retouching is also actually done by Vance for some of the work that I've done. So, but Cepheus' work, I actually seen a lot of evolving, being done. I've seen him from, shooting pictures that I asked him, like even asked him like, why do you shoot things this way? And then the exposure, the editing, and I've seen him grow really tremendously in the last 3 to 4 years, actually. Yeah. So, uh, and I believe that maybe it's the getting married part that makes him having to push himself harder. Am I right to say? Yeah, I see that you
Actually,
started
yeah.
business and everything more driven. Yeah. So I think his work now really, I've always also recommended clients, like my own clients, that if I'm unable to take the job, I would send them to Cepheus, and I would recommend him as a photographer and a company that people can trust. Yeah. So I think that's one of the most important aspect in these days as a photographer, is to build not just a stellar portfolio, but as well as a very robust trust in your business. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Matthew, going back to you, can you tell us a little bit about your approach to photography in itself? How do you see photography, and then how do you see yourself at this juncture in your career? With the likes of your peers.
Uh, I think when I started photography, when I was, it came from a very technical approach. So like, I think most young photographers will also go down the path, play HDR, play with time lapse, long exposure, all that kind of thing. So actually, the first thing that got me hooked onto photography was actually the technical aspect of it. I like tinkering with things, and then when I do a certain setting, something amazing happens. I'm like, wow, and that's amazing. But then in the recent years, especially after I started turning pro, or I started considering myself as pro, then I begin as a as an art form now. And I think what I mean by that is that, if I will break it down, is that it's a form of expression, and also it's a it's a way to preserve memories also for me. Yeah. So I'm usually style wise, I mean, I'm still frankly, still trying to find that voice. It's not very clear yet. I see some inkling of it, but generally I'm quite drawn to real moments. I'm quite drawn to people. I'm quite drawn to human faces. Um, I've done quite a few personal projects that were all, related to human faces, or related, to how they dress and whatnot. I feel that there is a lot you can explore in a human being, and every single human being is unique, right? And then just by simply changing your focal point, say the face to the attire, or to some other parts, like hand, you can tell a different story. And the unique challenge about photographing human is that it's ever changing. And if I can capture that one moment that I felt like, hey, it has this emotional resonance with me, which is something that I really look for in my photo, then I felt like, hey, I've done a good job. Yeah. So I think, to put it simply, yeah, I'm looking for that human connection and that emotional resonance in my photos. And yeah, that will be what I would define as a good photo for me. Yeah.
Lovely. And let me throw this question at you as well, from Serbi. How do you keep up with photography initially? Because obviously, it's a pretty expensive hobby slash profession at the beginning. How did you, start up with your gear, getting into the profession?
I think like everybody else, I just kind of worked my way up. So the first camera that I had was a compact, was a Olympus compact camera, just like this small. The point and shoot. So when I was young, I would go around CBD, I think three to four times a week, and then I would just shoot stuff, roads, flowers, whatever thing, and then I bought my first DSLR around 16 or so. It was just a basic DSLR. And then after that, when I was in army, I saved up all my savings. I bought a 5D Mark II then, which was my first full frame camera. And then that opens out a lot of possibilities. Right? You can explore a lot more different kinds of photography, and then generally your work also looks slightly better because of all the the bokeh and all the gizmos and whatnot. And then after I turned pro, every piece of gear that I accumulate has all been was bought through my own money that I earn from my jobs. I just threw the money back in, and then I just bought whatever that I need, and then until now.
Okay. Cepheus.
Yes.
The same questions. The same two questions.
For me, actually, I'm looking for moments where people reveal their expressions, their emotions. So be it like trying to induce it, by talking to them, or I just like events wise, I will really just keep on roving around, keep on watching out for people, talking, laughing, crying, just be at the right spot at the right time lah. That's something I'm still trying to perfect. Then I think in terms of my editing and my shooting also, it's kind of I would say fun, but fun and candid, and I always try to make my photo shoots a experience that the couple can remember rather than just taking nice photos. So I use a lot of moment design in my pre-wedding. So especially if it's like a full day shoot, I will try to make them laugh at the start, and then by the end, hopefully I can get them to review a bit more, just to push a bit more. I mean, of course, can make them cry also. It's a sense of achievement, a bit sadistic, but yeah. So what you see on screen now, this is my live emotion series, which is actually like cinematograph, a series of cinemagraphs that I use. Because I learn both videography and photography, I'm always trying to find like where's the boundary of it. So in the case of photos to video, you have the time lapses, hyperlapses, which I've experimented also in the early stage, like what Matthew said. Then somehow cinematograph is something that has captured my attention, and I just like doing. Some of the cinemagraphs you see here is really during events. I just film a short snippet of video and edit out.
I love it. I love how you're keeping up with the times in terms of techniques to, I mean, we always say this here, right? It's about standing out. It's about looking different. Here straight away you're looking, slightly different from Vance, slightly different from Matthew already as a photographer. Having your own unique techniques and approaches. I think these are all very important things to have as a young photographer, to stand out different from everybody else, right? Lovely. I love this entire series of yours. I'm actually excited to go to the next picture, wondering what else are you going to be doing, what else are you going to make move. So it's amazing. I think this is something, you see, with young photographers, you need to find that something to become, to become a hook for people visiting your website, for people who are new to your work, to lure them in, you know what I mean, right? Okay, lovely. And how about equipment wise? How did you, slowly build in terms of your equipment?
Equipment. I actually started with a compact also, same thing. So last time it was a Fuji, I still remember F31 FD compact camera. Then the DSLR that I impulse purchase is Nikon D3100. And I really worked my way up the ranks in terms of equipment. So it's really like 3100, then I got a 7100, I skipped the 5000 series, then 610, and now I'm on the Z6. Officially moved to mirrorless like last year.
Okay, but how?
So
how
along the way,
you...
I just earn and finance my next equipment.
Okay. Lovely. All right, Vance.
Yo.
On to you.
Sorry, what's the first question again? I lost.
Never pay attention.
No, after listening to them so intently, right? Then the question just flew out.
How would you describe yourself as a photographer? You know, where do you see yourself, stacked up against your peers,
Okay.
As a photographer in your current state, right?
For me, I see photography a bit differently from Matthew and Cepheus. I think both of them, they are capturing a lot of moments. They are looking a lot of real people, lay people, real smiles and stuff. For me, I before I shoot anything, there must be some sort of a concept. There must be some sort of a, I will want to try something. Like that's the thing that drive me to go and shoot the picture. Otherwise it will be work lah. It will be and for work wise, what I do is I always personally go down to, because my clients are all more direct clients. I would value add to them in a sense, by sitting down with them and then talking through every image that we are going to shoot together. So that's how I value add to them in a way. And for me, every image that I shoot is more like just like what I said just now. It's about making an image instead of taking an image. It's a craft, like what Matthew said. Yeah. So every image is crafted, and I start to look at it a lot as an art form as well.
Okay.
So I think that's what is different.
Okay. And how about equipment wise? I mean, tell us a little bit about I remember when you used to came in when you were super green, starting out, showing me all your personal projects, how you use your whatever you had.
So
tell us a little bit about that.
That previous few image that was on the screen just now, even all these are all shot on speed lights. So what I did, it is a pretty expensive hobby. I will admit, all the gear, everything is quickly amounts up to thousands and thousands of dollars. So what I do was, I try to have workarounds. I DIY my own screens using tracing paper and picture frames and tapes. I don't have C-stand, so I use clothes hanger. I use different things in my house that I can find to rig things up, and then a lot of gaffer tapes and stools of different height and stuff. So I think what more important is not about the gear. More important is about your mind, I would say. So because you're trying to make whatever your imagination become reality, in a sense, and how you do it doesn't really matter. So that's what I firmly believe back then. But slowly upon as I was evolving, I start to rent
lights there. Sorry, hi, can you?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so what I did was, as I slowly upgraded, and I used the money that I earn, or I cost into my quotes to the clients to book a proper studio, and use pro photo lights. And the difference isn't
it's better. The reason is it's more consistent, that's all. It's more consistent and reliable. And I think that's the only difference between a more expensive gear and a less expensive gear.
Oh, you're wrong. I think there's so much more. There's so much more.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, color consistency, the quality of the light in itself, right? That cleanliness in the light, it's very different.
Yes, I
agree. Speed light, color.
I agree. I realized that. Very early on. Using pro photo lights and its modifiers gives a very clean, very color neutral, very beautiful light. Whereas if you use a speed light, you'll get purple sometimes, you'll get blue, you'll get green. Different bursts have different colors. And I think but that aside, what I'm trying to get at is if you don't have the expensive gear, if you're just starting out, do not let that stop you from evolving.
Exactly.
I mean, you can cost in that into your quotes to your clients next time in the future when you're good enough. But to get there, you must start with something, So save up money like what I did. Save up and then buy piece by piece. I don't buy the best, but I buy something so that I have at least something to work with. Yeah.
Lovely.
I used to shoot everything on 50mm prime. Yeah. So
Brian?
that's my advice.
Brian?
Yep. So,
Anything?
okay, I have this very interesting question. Since the three of you started not too long ago, okay, I think this will bring back the best memories for you guys, and is the most, I think, applicable to everyone here. How did you guys actually, started out to get your first few jobs? The difficulty then, and then after that, like now that, I mean, when you started a few years ago, I believe it was somewhat difficult. And plus, you experienced this so early into your career, the COVID-19 pandemic. Wow, it must have been really tough for you guys to, yeah. So let's talk about it so that it's a bit more current to everyone's situation as well. Yeah, let's start with you again, Vance.
Okay, so how I started uh early, to get, in my early days to get my first clients was actually through referrals and through my girlfriend, because my girlfriend is a marketing manager for one of the top YouTubers in Singapore. So from there, I got quite a few jobs, and then it started to get traction, and I start to, and a lot of cold mails, of course. You start to send to everybody, all the clients you could find, people who are advertising on Instagram for their products. So every advertisement I see online, I'll go and hunt them down, and I'll go and shoot them cold mails and give introduce myself, let people know who I am. Yeah. And as for COVID wise, I'm just holding down the fort, honestly. Everything has been quiet so far. It's a harsh reality, and I think even after the circuit breaker leave and everything start to go back to normalcy, but I think we will have to need the need to explore readjusting our rates, everything, because I believe clients out there are also having a lot of money issues right now. Every business is the same. So I'm looking at really considering it, and trying to plan what's up coming next lah.
Mm.
Mm.
So, Matthew, what about you? Like, how has it, how difficult has it for you, then to get your first few clients coming in, and then, now with this whole situation, and then suddenly there's no jobs all over again, and then everything is a hard reset. Yeah.
First few clients wise, to be honest, took at least 2 years to build some kind of client. And to be honest, at the start, I did everything to make a living. So I was doing wedding videos, I was doing photography, events, portraits. I was working part time at Camera Rental Center. Very thankful for the boss for letting me work there for 1.5 years. And I was designing people's name cards. So basically, I did everything I could to get an income then, and back then I worked 7 days a week,
Wow.
non-stop. Because if I was not shooting, then I will be part-timing at Camera Rental Center. Yeah. So that was kind of like the buffer. All the other stuff that were not photography related were buffering my income back then, which somehow give me that confidence that actually I can make it, when actually the amount that I took in from photography was a couple $100 only. Yeah. But then I think having that, seeing that you can actually make some money, out of freelancing, that gave me the confidence. Yeah. So clients wise, mostly I think this one I'm quite thankful for. And I that's why I also think that sometimes going to the right school or having a certain education also matters. Because so background is that I went to communication school, and then a lot of my peers went on to work in advertising, marketing, events, PR, whatever. So all these industries needed photographers. And then I remember when I first started freelancing, I did a shout out on my Facebook, and then there were quite a few friends that responded lah. And then in the next few months, there were some people that started to join me or start to like recommend me and stuff like that. So I would say, frankly, that was kind of how I started. I just grabbed any opportunity that came. And then I remember when I was shooting a job, my mantra is that I want to shoot it such that it's good enough that it'll be in my portfolio. Then I'll use portfolio and I will sell and I will get better jobs from there. Yeah. So every shoot was a portfolio shoot, regardless of whether it was a personal shoot or was it for a client. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then
That's
COVID
actually-
situation wise.
No,
Yeah.
sorry, very quickly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
actually a very, very good advice. Your every image that you do, be it, a prestigious ad or, something that's for money, you should always try to make it a portfolio piece and invest in that shoot, whatever it might be. Big paying, zero paying, low paying, it doesn't matter. Every image should open a new door for you for the next possible job. You know what I mean? So that's very, very good advice. Yes, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so COVID situation wise, to be honest, I mean it has been a month, but I'm still waiting out to see in a certain sense. What I've been doing with my time is really reflecting on my work from the past 3 or 4 years or so, and then also reflecting on the jobs that I've done. How I could have done them better, stuff like that. Revising my portfolio. So the portfolio that you see now is actually I caught up a lot of stuff that I felt that was no longer relevant and was not direction that I wanted to head in, at least for the next 3 or 4 years. So I caught out a lot of event stuff. I caught out the corporate stuff, although I still do them, and I'm trying to move more towards a commercial kind of vibe. So I'm putting up most of those mainly now. Yeah. And generally doing a lot of self-improving during this period. I also find myself getting more creative since there's no projects on right now. It really lets me explore what I really want to do and just go and do it, because there's literally nothing holding me back from doing. Yeah. So moving on from here, I think rates. I think Vance mentioned something about rates or whatnot just now, right? And I think some photographer might, adjust their rates post COVID, because obviously there's a lack of jobs and whatnot. But my stance is that I will still keep my rates, and but I'm open for negotiation. Just keep the conversation open. But because I still believe that my work is still worth a certain amount, and if it's the amount before COVID, it shouldn't change. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So Cepheus is a bit different from both of you. I think he started working for another wedding, photography company first, and then I mean, working for someone else is always, I think, a luxury, because you're getting paid to learn. Although you may have to do some more work, maybe like things that you may not want to do, right? But I think that having that journey to actually pick up some new skills, to learn the business along the way and getting paid is an easier route. What makes you want to continue, doing this by yourself even after leaving a company before that, and also getting your first clients after you strike out on your own? Yeah, let's talk about it, Cepheus.
Actually, okay, I'll start off with how I got my first few freelance clients that's not related to the company one. So that one actually comes from my networking in uni, because I shoot like a lot of my hall events and some of the large scale, the uni-wide events as well. So a lot of people know me from there. And like when they graduated, they sort of just asked, hey, do you actually do graduation shoots as well? So my first few paid freelance gigs are actually from graduation, and I think that's the time where I feel like I was really shooting in a creative way, and every shoot I just keep on trying out new ideas. Yeah. So as for why I want to carry on with weddings after leaving that one is actually okay lah, no good of putting it, but it's more of like I had to, if I want to improve, I had to leave the company. Yeah, because okay, some personal reasons aside, it's also like I feel like I want to know my couples better, and I want to be able to meet them before I actually shoot for their wedding. So back then it was like sort of agency model, where the company just gave me a couple and tell me what time to report to on the day itself. Then I just show up at the doorstep. Hi, I'm your photographer. I'm gonna shoot your wedding today. Yeah, which is
Cool.
why I always wanted to carry on with weddings. Just that I want to do it in a different way. Yeah. Then
And I believe that you have a studio as well, just before this whole COVID-19 thing happened, right? So did you regret any of your actions, coming into this industry and then having to pay rental now, and then you can't work for 2 months, and then now you're doing this live stream thing as well for us, Yeah, how do you feel about this whole situation?
I mean, obviously it's lucky lah. But all along, I've always I've been observing the trends also. So along the way, while shooting for weddings across these few years, I've always have a sideline into corporate. Just that I don't really upload much of my corporate portfolio. So I mean, now that my wife has joined me ever since 2018, right? There's always a bit of pressure lah, just to make sure that I'm constantly improving and earning more over the years. So I see Cactus Singapore as like in a way my corporate brand, and all along I've always figured that wedding side the competition will become even more intense and the number of hours will reduce over the years. Just that COVID has speed up the entire process.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've started Cactus Singapore in preparation for like maybe 1-2 years later, we'll at least like be more steady and grow it over the course of 1-2 years and do more studio related stuff, do more live streaming, and make sure I can build up the team to handle that. However, COVID has sped up the entire process, so everyone is going to live streaming now. So that's a challenge lah. Yeah. But during this period, I mean, try to make myself productive. Been settling like my marketing, making sure my website is up to scratch. So the website that you see now is actually just designed like earlier this month. Yeah, I remove everything video related. My strategy now is wedding side, I'll just focus on photography, and corporate side, I will do photo and video. Yeah. Then also along the way, right now I'm trying to learn new softwares that will be relevant for the future. Cause I feel that everything will not go back to normal after COVID. Yeah, this is something that we haven't seen in a century, man. So I think COVID will change the way everyone work. Yeah, some things will probably still carry on after after situation improve, but then there will be major changes to the way people work and the type of services that people want. And I want to be ready when we reach there. Yeah.
Well, gathering from all three of you about, the way you started out, it seems to me that, the general advice is for people to at least, for those of you thinking of striking out, to start this business, is to really consider, a certain amount of savings, perhaps, right? To hold yourself, with a certain projection, 6 months, 1 year, 3 months, I don't know, right? Come up with a certain amount of projection as to how long you're giving yourself to succeed in a sense, because you just can't jump into it thinking that you are going to make money from month to month and roll over. You need to be ready to hunker down and tide through certain months, because there will be certain months where you'll be doing things for free. There'll be certain months where you'll be test shooting, where you won't get a single job. So I think the biggest thing that we are getting out of this is perhaps get yourself ready coming into this, right? Save a certain amount of money so that you can sustain yourself without going hungry for the next couple of months, so that you can just concentrate fully on perfecting your craft without having to make all those realistic decisions about whether I should be doing this, I should be doing that. You can go ahead and just dive in with that abundance of innocence at the very start of your career, to explore and go where the flow is going. not because this month I got not enough money, I better do this. Then you're slowly taking yourself away and losing sight of your end game, which is perhaps a beauty photographer, right? And then you need to do your events and your wedding or whatever to sustain yourself, and you're always constantly doing that to survive, to the point where your steps leading on to become that beauty photographer is not going to be realized because you're making all these everyday decisions to survive. You know what I'm trying to say? Do I even make sense, guys?
Yeah, but one thing about them that's so amazing, Jeff, that I've noticed amongst the three of them, they have this one thing that is in common, that they were in a displaced scenario in each of their lives. But the thing is that they press on and to make things work in their own ways, because all the three of them have got very different mindset and business model. But the attitude was the same. Yeah, they've been pushing themselves ahead of time, trying things in many ways, and like Matthew, he's been doing all the small little jobs just to make sure that he can become who he is right now. Yeah. And Vance as well, working with very limited equipments, but not making that as an excuse, but to make it work. And also
precisely.
as well for Cepheus to actually work for a company with a very fixed method, and then coming out and then getting a studio and then not working out, and then trying to reevaluate everything again. Yeah, I think it takes a certain resilience and positive mindset to actually become successful, I think. Yeah.
Do the three of you feel like sometimes you you need to yank the safety net from out of under you just so that you are going to dive and just make it, to do or die, that kind of mentality? Do you guys ever feel that way, that you needed to dive deeper and just have that mentality, as opposed to, yeah, I will try, if I can't make it, I'll go back to my day job, I'll go back to my degree or whatsoever?
I think I have felt that because I came from army, and army's salary isn't bad at all. It's stable, and all I have to do is fulfill my daily jobs and I get paid. But in this business, if you are not up to date, if you are not committed in a way, you will get you will get outdated very fast. Very quickly, someone will replace you, and you will be not relevant anymore. I think the safety net is a very important point, because it forces you to commit fully and dive, head in first, and then worry about other things later. And I think that belief, the end game that you mentioned just now, is a very important vision that one must always have in order to get there. Because even till now, I'm still very early in my career. Every day I'm thinking and dreaming of, my next set will be bigger, my next job will be bigger, and that vision hasn't changed. And I don't do anything else other than commercial and advertising, is because I really want to be a good commercial and advertising photographer, and doing other things provides me with that safety net that you mentioned, and it doesn't force me to to be concentrated and laser focused. Yeah, so I think yes.
Lovely. Actually, we are very lucky to have an amazing beauty photographer here with us. Alvin Tang, say hello. I'm gonna call you out.
You just have
Alvin.
to, right?
Alvin is one of the most amazing beauty photographers in Singapore. I've had the pleasure of knowing him many years back, and even repping him in my agency. He has grown so much, he's matured so much in his craft. I would love to hear from you, Alvin, if you could just share with our young photographers here a little bit about your journey starting up. Because you're obviously the kind of photographers, many young photographers look up to, who wants to do what you do, and I think you're in a beautiful place in your career right now.
What, as in like what? Like my beginnings or something?
Yeah. Very quickly, what were your struggles, and what did you do? Those few things that you did to take you here today. Exactly. I mean, I fucking love your work. Your work is amazing.
I think all photographers started off, you'll definitely have a lot of doubts, right from the get-go, because you'll be producing work, a lot of work. Then after that, nobody pay attention to you. All your cold calls, all your cold emails, nobody will respond to you. I mean, like, this is actually really, really normal. I've talked to a lot of photographer friends. All of them face through the same thing. But I think you just need to be persistent. I think for the first 3-4 years, it's going to be tough. It's going to be super tough. But if you're able to get through the first 3 to 4 years, you'll be in a good place slowly. And you definitely need to put your work out there. You need to be relevant, like super relevant. You do not need to follow trends, but you need to be aware of what is actually going on in the market, so that you can induce your style into your works, and make your style stand out from the rest of the crowd. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Sorry for putting you on the spot. But I mean, the thing is, I knew you when you were coming up, and then now looking at you, wow, so it's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Any other questions? Daniel, perhaps. Daniel is also on his journey, in terms of establishing himself as a photographer. I would love to hear questions from Daniel, perhaps.
Right, like when you're first starting out, it's always a very big roller coaster ride, especially emotionally. It can be physically tiring, it can be mentally tiring, but how do you guys actually like cope with this this whole what do you call this, talking your brain, and then a lot of worrying here and there? Like, how do you guys actually do that and to be where you are right now?
I think I'll answer this together with Jeff's previous question about the safety net. Right, Jeff, you're asking about the safety net just now, right? Like, what are our thoughts on it, right?
Yes.
Basically, I think at the end of the day, is how badly you want something, and the fastest way to succeed, I find, is to yank that safety net out. So I'm actually not really a fan of safety nets now. What I realized was that during the past 2 years, when I start to get a little bit more jobs and stuff like that, there's a certain kind of like complacency that comes with it also, and then you slowly start to lose track of that drive, or that that urgency or that desperation that you had right at the start. So I actually feel like I'm actually not a fan of safety nets right now, and I think within the next 6 months to 1 year, I'm thinking of some way to fuck myself up and to, in a certain sense, restart my entire career. To, I don't know, it could be 6 months, no jobs, go out there, shoot a whole lot of personal work, come back as a brand new photographer, something along that line. But it's I don't know what's the concrete plan right now, but that's a thought that's in my head right now. But of course, that also comes from a privileged position. See, I'm living, I got a place, I've got some that I did in the past 2 years, so I can afford to maybe take a short hiatus, or I could just travel for 6 months without going totally broke. Yeah. But yeah, so I think at the end of the day, it's how badly you want something, and how much you are willing to throw away to get even more. Yeah.
Lovely. Very nice. Thank you. Cool. Anybody has questions? From Nanda, was there ever a point when you, for Matthew, yeah? Was there ever a point when you felt like giving up and trying something else? What spurred you to keep going there?
Thanks for the question, Nanda. I think giving up is a quite a strong word. So I wouldn't say that I actually felt like wanted to give up, but definitely I felt jaded for some certain periods of time, certain pockets of time. And then whenever I feel jaded, I'll just question myself why I feel that way. And I think the best way to get out of that jadedness is to go and do personal work. Find something that you're super excited to do, even if it's not super exciting. If it's something that you really want to do, like your heart shouts out for it, just go and do it. And then I find that helps me get out of that so-called like rut. Yeah.
Okay. Vance?
There was really times where it was very challenging, and some jobs you really want to get, but they are not paying enough, and things like that. I think all these difficulties will always be present no matter which stage of your career you are in. There will be challenges from different nature, but I think resilience and the vision of your end game is what will keep you going. How badly you want things, like for example, like what Matthew said, how badly you want something will really, if you really want something that badly, you will press on. If you don't press on, then it only proves that you don't want that badly enough. That's what I would think.
How about Cepheus?
Any
take on that?
It's not really a point that I can remember where I actually feel like giving up, but it's more of like sometimes you get a bit jaded. In terms of like getting stuck in a rut. But then there's actually one point where I feel like I wasn't going anywhere, but my then girlfriend, now wife, she has been very encouraging towards me all this while. Like there was one point where I thought like, should I actually like just like still continue on with my brand or not? But she's the one who actually say like, never mind, just keep building. I can see that you're going somewhere. Just keep on building your brand. And that's why I married her lah. Yeah, she has been the biggest motivator in my life, really. Yeah.
Okay.
And
you mean minion?
Yeah,
I read your bio, by the way.
Yeah, because she helps me out a lot. She not just like motivate me, but she also helps me out during my shoots. Currently she's working with me full time, also helping me out with my marketing game and really sometimes editing as well, which is a very good thing. Yeah. Lor. So
super.
really for her lah.
Questions, guys, come on. Young photographers out there. Throw it out. Anybody? Okay, personal work then. Let's talk a little bit about personal work. If how are you guys finding time to do personal work on top of the commercial stuff that you do? How much time do you put in, and what do you see in your personal work? How are you finding it? Because I think that's a very important aspect of you building yourself up as a photographer, is to spend, I would say in essence, every upstart photographer should spend a good 50% of your time doing personal work. When you're not shooting commercial work, do personal work, because I think you should spend that, make that effort. Don't be just waiting and sitting on your ass, waiting for the next job, because I think you should be proactive to go and I've always this saying sometimes that people don't know what they want until they see it, right? That's part of my personal mantra as well. So that's why I do the test shoots that I do, because clients don't know what they want until they see it, and then when they see it, they go, okay, that's kind of cool, I can use that. I want that look in my next ad, I want that look in my next campaign, I want that look in la la la, so it is putting yourself out there and inspiring your clients. Alvin said something about relevance, totally right. You need to be relevant to what you want to do, right? If Alvin Tang wants to be a beauty photographer, he obviously shoots a lot of beauty test shoots to show to all the beauty brands that, you know, he can do beautiful skin and beautiful lighting and so on and so forth, and not shooting food and putting it up on his website, because he's never going to be that beauty photographer that he is today. So yeah, I would love to hear about personal work and, you know, everyone's point of view about how you go out there and chase that.
Maybe I'll start with, let's start with me.
Yeah.
So what I do is I do not have like I do not calculate my time, 50% of my time I want to do personal and then the others is work. So what I would do is I will always be looking through different platforms like Behance and Pinterest, and like what Alvin asked just now for my inspiration wise. So I always look at all these different images, not particularly photographers, but images, be it being rendered, being drawn, being shot. So I would love when I see something I like, I will always I'll have different things that I've seen, and then I'll try to craft them out, from different elements from different places, and then mix them into one single image. And then when I have that concept, when I have that so-called story, something that will motivate me to go and shoot the image, I will dedicate time to go and plan and then go and find the resources and then go and shoot it. Yeah. So I do not calculate per se like 50% of my time, but a lot of my work are personal, and also like what Jeff said, the clients do not know what they want until they see it. So I try to explore different things. I try to explore different lighting techniques, using different textures, in my work, to create different images and also to build up my skills as a photographer.
Okay, lovely. Cepheus?
Yeah, usually when I do personal work also is for me to try something new, something different. So recently we having a studio has allowed me and my studio partners, Kwani and Alan, to three of us have been like, getting models in, shooting portraits, getting products in, shooting products. Even my dog became a model. So yeah, that's my personal work sort of like during this period. Back then, I tend to explore different techniques, be it like hyperlapses, be it I there was a period of time where I was really into shooting aerials as well. Yeah, of course drone was the in thing back then also. So generally I look at personal work as gaining new skills and improving my skill, and also things that are relaxing to me. Yeah. Because I think personal work should also be like sort of a hobby that you practice, from time to time.
But I noticed you don't have much personal work in your website. Why is that so?
Yeah.
Why?
I think there was, I think these few years have been like sort of like, because I do quite a lot of different fields, corporate and weddings. So there's actually like, I think a period of like 2-3 years where I was so bogged down by work. I just keep on doing work and work and work and work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you see, that's the thing. You see, that's the thing. That's the trap that you will land yourself in, because if you keep doing all these money-paying jobs, you're not allowing yourself to evolve, and then at some point, you are going to be hitting that wall so suddenly, right? That you will go, shit, where is the kind of work that I want to do, or where is the kind of work that I enjoy doing? Because you're going to grind, and this grind of making all this, money making jobs that are obviously not fun, right? You are not carving out time. You know what I'm saying? You're not carving out time for you to prep your future self. You're not laying the foundation for the tracks for your future self to transition across, right?
Definitely agree with you. Yeah. Definitely need to allocate more time. Yeah,
you got to be mindful of that. You got to be mindful of this, because it's a happy problem. You've got enough work to keep you busy to the point where you're not test shooting, but you also have to be conscious enough to tell yourself, okay, I better find some time, in as much as I'm busy shooting all these money jobs, I carve out some time so that I can do those things, so that when at some point when I burn out, it will transition across to other stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Any how about Matthew? You have anything to answer for that? Have you? Matthew?
Yeah. My view on personal work, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. My view on personal work has changed, I think, recently. So for the past 2 years, my view on personal work is that, there's always some kind of like lighting that I want to try out, or some kind of technique I want to try out, and I just I book a studio or whatever, book some models, and I just go shoot it just to get it out of my system and just to learn something out of it. And I think that was because I was kind of like, I mean, I'm learning, right? I think 2 years ago, that was when I met you, right, Jeff? And then there were like a lot of technicals, a lot of things that I really needed to brush up on. And it was also my way to explore more into the world of lighting, which I previously never got to do. So I would say most of my so-called personal work prior to now was a lot focused on techniques, learning things. But then the way that I see personal work now is that what I'm trying to do right now is to give myself a theme or a concept, or a value that I hold. And that comes from looking within myself, like what kind of person I am, what kind of images am I drawn to, what kind of art am I drawn to, what kind of expressions am I drawn to, and then try to work backwards and say like, oh, that is who you are, and then be one-minded about it. So say I come out with a theme for myself, and then proceeding onwards for future test shoots, I will try to shoot to that theme. I can be shooting anything, but it needs to have that value or that theme to it, and so that you will have that consistency across the board. Like if you were to view all your pictures together, it could be of different subjects, but at the end of the day, there's a certain element to it which people cannot really put a finger to, but at the end of the day, they're like, I really feel this way about your work, although you shoot this, that. So that is how I'm viewing personal work now, and that's how I'm moving towards it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, to Serbi, I think I rephrased your question, and I think Matthew kind of answered it in that sense. How do you, in the beginning, create a portfolio and style that you want to be known for? So yeah. All right. Any other question, guys? Come on the mic. Go ahead and speak it. If you don't want to type it, by all means, speak it. Anybody?
Okay, of course, let's talk about Matthew's guns.
My God.
What guns are we talking about?
Show it.
As in his.
Oh man, let's.
Yeah. His friends keep asking him to show guns.
Man. What are you talking about? Nonsense lah.
You've been working out, haven't you?
It's my new hobby lah. It's my new hobby. Yeah. I think outside of photography, it's important to have something else that you really pursue also. Keep your mind fresh. So usually, I work out 5 days, and then usually happens in the morning. And then, to be honest, I actually start work after lunch. But like when I start work, I'm actually pretty fresh, and it brings in a new perspective sometimes. Yeah, compared to if you just work consistently 9 to 6, editing photos. I think sometimes throwing something into the mix helps lah. Yeah, and I think another thing that is important is that it gives you like a common topic to chat about with clients also. Like if your client really likes working out and stuff, then you immediately have that connection already. So like having hobbies is, I find it's really important outside of photography. You don't want your clients to see yourself as just a photographer and no identity to it. You are a person at the end of the day, and you have things that you like to do. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Gabriel has a question. Portrait tips, gentlemen.
I'll let the portrait experts go and answer.
Go, Matthew.
I don't consider myself an expert yet. But I think generally my approach to portraits is to make my subject as comfortable as possible. So I usually the way I think about portraits is that it's 50% photography and it's 50% interaction. You know, it's a people's thing. You know, it can't be too sterile about that. You know, it's not like you're shooting an object and they're there, you know, stationary waiting for you to create something out of it. So with people, things are always changing. You know, oftentimes, you know, when people hate camera, and if you yourself have been in front of camera before, like a professional setting with all the lights and everything, you will understand how scary or how unnerving it is. So my job as a photographer is to put them at ease. And the best portraits usually come when they forget about where they are at. They forget that it's portrait session, and you just talk and snap, 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 you know, and the best moments always comes out from in between. So those who have like assisted me before will know that when I do a portrait shoot, I'm constantly talking, I'm constantly interacting, you know, and the shooting it's just part of the process, you know. It's like a byproduct. At the end of the day, I hope that everybody come through me have a certain, you know, there's a certain memory that we create together. Of course, it's not always possible. Sometimes you only get 5 minutes to shoot someone, but if you have a little bit more time, you know, talk to them, treat them as human beings basically, and you know, you will get a lot more natural looking portraits out of it. Yep.
Super. From Clara, right? From Clara to Vance, will you cross over to other genres of photography if there are opportunities, and what would that be?
Like other genres, I would say I have already sort of crossed over. I used to be shooting almost exclusively motorbikes in my very early days. And then I start to shoot a lot of still life to build my craft. And then now I'm transiting into shooting people. You know, I think that in the sense is crossing over genres. If you're talking about, you know, things like, you know, weddings or events or different really whole new different trades of photography, most likely I wouldn't cross over. Yeah, I most likely wouldn't cross over because I know I want to be in commercial. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
But I know at the same time I will caution you, Vance, for example, right? You know, you are crossing in your very young, you know, duration as a photographer over almost 3 different genres already. You know, you better almost start spending time at one and really just dive deeper into it, because you're just touching the surface and moving, touching the surface and moving. You are not exactly putting in the effort to really, you know, just fucking go balls deep into it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that's really what you need to, you know, to do. You
Totally
know,
agree.
you need to just you know, because if you keep touching the surface and jumping, you become, you know, jack of all trades, right? You know, and master of none, literally. So, you know, you really need to hone in on something, get it out of your system, try these few things fast, but hone in on something and then really go into it for an extended period of time. Only then you will see something emerge. I promise you. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for the tip.
Cool. I think in essence, what I gather from seeing all 3 of you is that you 3 put an effort to make it, you know, make you yourself, your brand, a very purposeful business. In a sense, you are not some fly-by-night photographer. You made the effort to put together a proper website and to put some, you know, proper pictures into it, and to develop some sense of a brand. I think that's a very important thing that startup photographers need to work on, is to work on that branding, is to work on that sense of what you are, how you are, and that sense of presence as well in this market, you know. Because if you don't have a proper website that looks good, that is professional looking, you know, or a proper social media presence, if you're not playing the game, all this is very important. I think today is so important to develop that kind of outlook so that people can take you seriously. Because if you are just playing and because you see photography is so rampant, so freely available, right? Anybody is can have an Instagram account. Anybody can very easily go and buy some website template and then make a website. You need to be that little bit more different, little bit better, so that you don't look templated, so that you don't look like every other photographer out there running around doing it as a hobby. You don't want to be lumped together with the hobbyists. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Because the line between amateur, hobbyist, and photographer today is so blurred that you can't quite draw the line whether this photographer is like all in doing this serious, got a proper letterhead and proper business cards, or he's fly by night. He might run away tomorrow and not appear. So you really need to create that sense of trust in your
what
business.
Jeff is saying is that it's not to put amateurs down or not to put hobbies down, because in fact in our community there are amazing hobbies photographer that shoots better than half the amount of professionals that we have seen. Yeah, so this is the truth and reality. But the thing is that these hobbies, right, have no intention to make photography a living. Yeah.
Yes, smart.
Yeah. It's their form of hobby, So how do you differentiate yourself from what Jeff is trying to say? Is how do you differentiate yourself being a professional photographer, trying to make a living and trying to do sales, and you're trying to sell your product, comparing to someone who is just doing it out of hobby? Yeah. So to speak, if to put into layman terms, if you see like some home cooks, they cook very nice stuff, yeah, but the fact that they are not going to become professional chefs. So it's the same thing for photography as well. Yeah. And Abel has a question: how do you balance between business, making profits, versus chasing dream? You guys want to give it a try? I think you guys are kind of chasing a dream. Jeff and I, we are already, sometimes think that this is a nightmare, but yeah. So let's have the dreamers talk about it first, and then after that, Jeff and I will talk about this. Yeah.
Come, Matthew, Vance, Cepheus.
Yeah.
I guess I'm quite a realistic person, so I actually sort of like I'm always thinking about the business side of things. Yeah. In the sense that I try to price myself right lah, so that I don't have to worry too much about having to sustain myself in case shit happens like COVID. So yeah, I think that sort of like frees up a bit of the worries in the monetary aspect, that I can continue working on my craft. Yeah.
Vance?
I would say it's a journey that both these things run parallel. I think business is very important. Of course, survival is the first thing that we have to consider before anything else. But then again, come back to what I've said just now about how badly do you want something. How badly do you want your dream? So to chase it really realistically, I think you have to set targets, set achievable targets, so that if you achieve it, and it will motivate you to go further. And if you don't just aim, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land among the stars. I think that's bullshit. But I think you have to set achievable targets to yourself. And even if you can't reach the top level, but you know to yourself that you have tried your best and you have achieved some things along the way. Yeah, that's why how I look at it.
Matthew?
I think this is quite a tricky question. To be honest, I don't think I'm the most business-minded person. You know, when it comes to photography, I'm definitely leaning more towards chasing my dream more than the business. So the way that I see is that, yeah, definitely you have to earn a certain amount to survive, right? And I've got that sum worked out. So for me, basically for me, it's like once I hit that target for that month or that quarter, my mind is switched and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do my personal projects now. So if more work comes in, sure, I'll take them up. But to be honest, I don't really go out there very fiercely to chase, meaning to advertise, to market what I currently am doing, because I feel like my identity is not strong enough yet. So I find I'm putting that as a priority to chase my identity. So the business aspect is taking a bit of a back seat right now. Not that it's not important, it's just a little bit less important than chasing my dreams. Yeah,
But
that's
at the same time,
how I
Matthew,
see it.
whatever that you just said, right, was in fact the most convincing answer that I got out of the three of you. Because if you're talking about how to balance between business and chasing your dream, I believe that you are the most balanced in what you said. You got enough jobs, you go on to chase your dreams by doing your personal work. And I think that that's what a lot of photographers are not balancing enough. They don't have the drive to actually go on to develop themselves further, because everything is always about the business. Am I getting enough paid? Am I getting enough work? Who is my competitor? Will my competitor be doing better than me, or what's my competitor doing? This is not the balance that we are looking for. And I believe that Matthew, you've given the best answer to Abel. Yeah, because you know when to stop and you know how to go on. And I think you will go very, very far in this sense. Yeah.
To add to my personal journey, when I started out, my studio in 97, 97, 98, 99, 2000, those were the 4 years that I literally shot everything and anything, again, to survive, right? But I always had my eye on the ball. If I could use basketball analogy, because I'm watching The Last Dance on Netflix, with Michael Jordan and everything, it's about, dribbling, around the court, doing all your fake moves and everything while looking at the basket being your ultimate goal, right? And how you are doing all those dribbling along the way, that is, all your bread and butter stuff, but always have one eye on the goal. And that is to exactly what Matthew is doing. He's doing enough to make that living, running as the baseline, while he is exploring certain things. At some point further down the road, these two will start to blend together, and then you will start to see your end game emerging. But until then, run that baseline, parallel in terms of making money to sustain, or else if you are hungry, you won't survive, right? So do that, do whatever it takes, shoot anything and everything. Don't be too picky about it, right? Do the survival. This survival is going to allow you to play, and this is the play. While you're playing, as much as you're playing, at some point down the road, these two lines are going to merge, and then that's when you start to see all your efforts in doing all your play coming into fruition, in terms of clients starting to take notice and seeing, hey, you can do this, and and then you start to more people start to hire you for those things that they didn't know you can do. And then that's how I rise. I wanted to do fashion, and one hand on the one eye on the ball, fashion, and then certain people saw me, took notice. I did certain shoots, opened more doors, and then after that, I fucked everything else. I stopped doing food. I stopped doing events. I stopped doing, you name it. I stopped doing everything and just went in, because, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's simple. I only do a limited number of weddings a year. I limit myself to 40. There are 52 weekends. I only do 40. And then the rest of the time, I'm chasing my other dream, the second part of my career, where I try to transition myself into a lifestyle commercial photographer. Yeah. So That's how I find balance, knowing when to stop, at the same time knowing what is the next thing that you want to do. Yeah. Okay. So there's this hey guys, amazing advice. Okay. Handle pricing, service, and contracts legal. Um, okay, maybe I will start on this one. Pricing is something that you just have to know how much it's to charge. Okay, a lot of people have no idea how much to charge, and most of the time people undercharge. Okay, I have a very interesting theory that I've been sharing. I came up with it when I was in university. At the same time, I was doing my business marketing course, and I was talking about branding and I was in class for branding and marketing and etc. and things like that. And I realized that, hey, how do I know how much to charge as a new photographer then when I was still in school? Guess what? Instead of checking what is the average median pricing, I went to find out who are the most expensive people. And then I started charging slightly higher than the average, just below the most expensive people. And then I find my balance from there. Because if you are worth $1,000, and if you start to charge only $600, thinking that you are not there at 1,000, you'll be throwing $400 every day. For every job that people hire you, you're throwing $400 away. But put it in this perspective: if you're charging $1,000, and if you're still getting clients at $1,000, means that this money entirely goes to you. And if you realize that after a few months, maybe a year, you realize that $1,000 is not enough to sustain you, then slowly drop down or work around with your client, like what Matthew said. Things are negotiable, things are open, but your value is at $1,000 per day, for example. And that's the way that you can slowly find that, okay, how do you adjust yourself up or down, slowly readjust everything on a micro basis to know that, okay, that is the right amount to charge without losing too much money. Yeah, so that's my theory of how to charge, because everybody goes from bottom up. I choose to go from up to down to find that sweet balance, because this is the only way that you can lose the least amount of money. Yeah. And then in terms of legal aspect, all you need to do is consult a lawyer. That's the best way. There's no other ways to, you don't take your friend's contract to refer to and everything. For my business, I got a lawyer. I paid, a lawyer a few $1,000s just to draft a proper contract for my clients. And every time there's new scenarios, new situation, I'll send it back to the lawyer. I'll pay money again for the lawyer to rewrite certain things.
Brian. I mean, you have a decent business to be able to afford a lawyer, but I mean, for an upstart photographer, those 3,000 to a lawyer is a lot of money.
No, I started the business with a proper lawyer already.
Yeah lah. I mean, now I think what could be a very quick, easy solution is to go to PPAS, for example. They have a pre-drafted photographers, document, right? That has already, that they share, with the PPAS community. So, perhaps there's somewhere you can go to for some legal things that's really pre-written, kind of like a simple basic clause of sorts. Yeah. Okay. Super. I think let us take this opportunity to segue into something that I know both Brian and I want to share with you. This is something that we have put together. Both individually, Brian and myself, we have done mentoring, but now I think today we have decided to merge both our individual mentoring programs into one, so to speak, right? So here, today we are launching the Photographers Coach mentorship program in essence, right? To help photographers, right? If you're lost, you're stagnant, you're uninspired, you have no work, we are here to help you. So let's make a change, right? So both Brian and myself both, with different years of expertise, with very different, background, so to speak, commercial advertising, wedding and lifestyle. We are blending both our expertise to give you the raw consults, right? Essentially, it's a one-on-one tailored session to you via teleconference, 90 minutes for each session, of your choice, essentially. So here we have, 12 various sessions that you can pick off one at a time for $100 per 90-minute session each, right? Or you can buy all 12 for a discounted rate of 1,000. Or you can come to us and talk to us about, any customized sessions that we can do for you. So this is very much a la carte. Brian and I, we have, mentored many photographers, and this is something that, we feel could be a very interesting thing to share with you guys. And we have made it even more fun by allowing you to pick and choose, mix and match sessions, and even coaches. So you can take some from Brian and some from me, so that you get the best of both worlds in many ways. And to sweeten it, you get if you sign up for 6 sessions, you get to have free complimentary studio use at Raw for 4 hours, right? And that's worth in itself almost $300 already. So fully supported by ProPhoto, you get the entire studio with all ProPhoto equipment available for your use. And if you take up 12 sessions, you get a full day's free studio and equipment use.
Yep.
And also to be part of a secret group, to join our other mentees in that group as well. Vance, Matthew, they are all in that group. And we are soon going to combine that group because, I used to have this thing called 2.0, right? So this is me and Brian blending both hours together. Yeah.
Yep.
Sign up, email us, let us know if you need anything. This is my handles. If you need to know more about stuff, that's Brian's, right? If you need to take a picture of a screenshot, by all means, grab it now. 1, 2, gone. 1, 2, gone. Okay. So let us know if any of you are keen. You can talk to Vance, you can talk to Matthew, Cepheus about their journey with us. If they are, if you need any advice from them about their journey, I'm sure we have cultivated a very open community here, and we are always very giving and sharing in terms of putting ourselves out there. So and I can attest to the fact that all 3 of them will do the same. They are also very, very giving photographers and very sharing photographers.
Yeah.
So I can very confidently speak on their behalf and say, if you do need any help, any assistance with anything, by all means reach out to them, right? Reach out to them, reach out to us, any of us, we are here to help you as a community. Yeah. Okay.
Follow them on Instagram as well, just so that you can keep updating their progress along with yours, so that if you're thinking of being the next young guns like them, you can look up to them as well, and hopefully be inspired to become join our ranks one of these days.
Yeah. What we are trying to do is to create a communal environment where we all freely share and help. What I want to do is for everybody to put up their hands and help each other, right? And at some point, Vance needs somebody to hold a black card, when he's shooting something, So, volunteer that hand to hold that black card for him. One of these days, Cepheus is going to need a hand, moving a tripod of one of his live stream cameras from point A to point B. Volunteer yourself to help and learn something along the way. One of these days, Matthew is going to need a hand in setting up a softbox for one of his portrait sessions or his test shoots. So put up your hands, help each other. That's what I want, because amongst Brian and myself and Vance and Matthew, we do extend ourselves. We do extend ourselves to each other to help each other. in terms of whatever everybody needs, in terms of equipment, in terms of studio space, in terms of our physical self. We do help each other a lot. That's why we are growing, by banding together. I think that's one of the most important things that needs to be done. Don't go at it alone, because it's already a very tough journey already. Yeah. All right. Anything else, everybody?
Or is there any other topics that you guys are interested to know or to learn from us, or in fact you want to learn from the three of them? I think we can, maybe just put it out here so that we can also try to arrange something, because even though the circuit breaker is going to be finishing soon, I hope there will be more of such webinars coming along the way, as I think this is going to be the new norm. We will come up with a lot more interesting things as well. So stay tuned. But if you have any, ideas of what we can do for you, please, let us know so that we can put it out to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So this week we are looking at Wednesday. We are going to have Andy Wong, who's an amazing food photographer, and together with Alex Au, both of them are going to be doing a food photography talk. And then we're going to have our resident master chef Aaron Wong coming in as a guest to poke holes into their food photography, and give them a hard time. I think it's going to be a very fun one because Aaron and myself, we talk to each other quite a lot. We work with each other quite a bit as well at one point. And it's always a hoot hanging out with Aaron Wong. Very much like myself, straight shooter, doesn't mince his words. So you're gonna get quite a very flowery session coming up on Wednesday. And then on Friday, I'm gonna do one of my very popular subjects, which is photographer psychology. That's a session where I talk a lot about using the soft skills of of being a photographer, and how we can use this, your psychology onto others and to make you a better photographer. All right, cool. Any last words from our three rising stars, Vance, Cepheus, and Matthew? Any last words from you guys? Last advice that you want to give up to the community?
Well, I can only say never stop trying. Don't give up, no matter what it is, because at the end of the day, it's how badly you want something. And I believe if you are starting out, you should be full of energy. I mean, we are all still full of energy. So, let the energy drive you, and go as far as you can and join us in this amazing journey.
Lovely. Thanks, Vance. Cepheus.
Yep, for me is join the photography community. I regret not joining sooner. There's really so much I've learned from this community ever since I joined it. So I think if you are really looking into starting out on your journey, really start mingling with people. They are so much more than you. You have so much more to learn. Yeah, really.
Awesome. Thank you.
Community over competition, basically.
Nice. And Matthew?
For me, I think the advice to young photographer would be that you got nothing to lose. Right up until you start a family, you literally have, and especially if you're staying with your parents, it's the best time to go out and shoot shit. Just shoot a heck load of work, and try to establish yourself before you settle down. I think at least that's what I would do for myself. Yeah. I think
totally.
Once you have a family, everything changes, your priority changes. And I would also want to be that kind of father that, is responsible enough to my family also. So yeah, I think a lot of people are hesitant because they are like, I should be earning X amount of money by age 20 something, blah, blah, blah. My friends are earning this amount. But, if once you make it, you will be making tenfold back, man. Really, if you really make it in the street, and and you'll be doing a work that really inspires you and that you really love, then you have got like the unicorn. So just just like put in the hard work for the first few years, until you succeed. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, and that's what I'll do for myself.
Okay. David has a very last question, I think, and a very out of the blue question. The other day, ex-colleague asked him, how much do I charge for taking photos of
Need to ask Tommy.
Yeah.
Need to ask Tommy.
There is I mean, you should refer him to Tommy. Tommy Chia,
Need to ask Tommy
who
Chia.
is a specialist.
So I will tell the client, I'll shoot for free, but you buy the helicopter for me.
you pay for the helicopter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I can tell you that much, that it's not easy at all. To be honest, when I was starting out in 97, 98, I believe, I did have this one client who asked, and I literally went to rent a helicopter, and I went to shoot a tanker, exactly, and a good portion of the pictures were blurred because I was using film camera in those days, and they weren't autofocus. So the helicopter was shaking, my shutter speed wasn't high enough, and I was shooting film. I couldn't see what the fuck I was shooting. A good portion of it was blur because helicopter was moving way too fast. So I kind of fucked up big on that. But thank God there were a few decent ones that they could use. But I would say a good 70% of them was unusable. That was one of my worst experiences I've ever had. So it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to go up and just strap yourself. Firstly, I've never taken a helicopter before, and then, never taken a helicopter, but the door is out, you're strapped, with I mean, you are just so overwhelmed with just sitting a helicopter in the first place, right? That everything just takes over. So, and yeah, so be careful. Yeah, be careful. It's, don't fuck up.
Okay, I'm gonna try pitch for this job. So if the client buys the helicopter for me, I'll take you on the joyride.
I have another question from this though. What do you think of using drones nowadays to capture this kind of shoots?
Well, the thing is, all these tankers are out at sea. Your drone can't fly the distance.
I mean, if you are on the tanker itself.
Yeah.
You're launch from there. Yeah.
Well, to get on the tanker is not easy to start with, because to board a tanker, and this thing, that's why they use helicopters and they go there, because you can't just go to there and then you launch a drone and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So I believe there are complications.
Usually the tankers are on the way out of Singapore. Then you fly by, shoot, and then they are on their way. They don't stop for you.
Yeah. So David, be careful. Check out Tommy Chia. See, he does this for a living. That's his specialty. He used to own this studio called Studio 8. He used to do commercial advertising and wedding and so on and so forth. Old timer, and then he started to evolve, and then he went into this specialty, and now he's a guy for it. So that's photographers evolving, essentially. All right, guys, super. Again, thank you very much for being part of our weekly sessions. I hope you got something out of today and enjoyed yourself. So we hope to see you on Wednesday and Friday. Again, thank you very much. Join us. Thanks, Cactus, for broadcasting the stuff onto Facebook for us. Follow us, please. Lovely. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Good night.